I don't know what we're going to talk about. I'm ready for anything. I've got my bronze spear. I'm ready to go.
Anyway, this is episode, I want to say 6. It could be 7. Let's go with 6. This is episode 6 of the David and House Show. I have one of my good friends, Stefan Milo, who you guys might know from YouTube and the socials. Why do you have a spear, Stefan?
I don't know. This is just the kind of thing I just own a Bronze Age replica spear. This would have been all the rage in Britain 4,000 years ago. I am working on a video about the Bronze Age at the minute, so that is why it's like to hand, because it's going to be a prop in a video.
You think it's going to be good, or will it collapse?
This spear?
Video about the Bronze Age.
Oh.
Bronze Age.
I think it's going to be a banger, to be honest. I think it's going to be a banger. It's about now we know that people had the Black Death in Europe during the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
They've got this, now they're testing DNA. I mean, this is too deep in the weeds maybe for the first 20 seconds of the podcast, but now DNA testing is so cheap, they can get a sample from like a tooth and just test it for basically every disease.
Ancient British tooth diseases? Sorry, I should have said that more succinct. Yeah.
Well, it's tricky because the disease has to be so prevalent in the system that you can even detect it in the pulp of the tooth. But yeah, now that they have this big DNA testing thing for diseases now, and it turns out that people in like the early Bronze Age had the Black Death all across Europe.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't the other one came from Asia, so did that one too, or do you think it started over
Well, the early Bronze Age people kind of came from Asia too, or at least the European steppe, the Yamnaya. So there's like this migration of people, you know, every like 4,000 years or something, or 2,000 years, like various people in the steppe just rampage through Europe.
Yeah. Oh, child, what's up? Hey.
All good. Yeah, for the listener, my wife has her back, so I'm on childcare duty as well at the minute. So this may be a very interrupted podcast.
If you need to take breaks, just let me know. Like, it's all good.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, that's Bronze Age Black Death, man. It's going down.
Yeah, dude. So I know I didn't really put a structure into this or give you anything, but I wanted to start off with a solid question for the listeners. I want to get into how you got started and stuff, but you can have, before I do that, I'll give you can answer this with 1 or 2 answers, or 3 if you need to. What is your favorite thing about what you're doing right now with like YouTube and your books and all that? Like, what do you love about it?
I just get paid to learn, really. Like, I just get to follow whatever rabbit hole my brain wanders down, like Black Death in the Bronze Age, and chat to the people who know about it. Like, I interviewed a geneticist about it, and yeah, I just get paid to follow my curiosity. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
There's like, what more could you want, really? I can just go down any rabbit hole I like, and as long as a couple of 100,000 people would be willing to watch it, it's all okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of incredible.
That's awesome, dude. You do a great job at it, and I know, I mean, I'm not kissing ass or anything, but like the other anthropologists I know and archaeologists are always like, have you heard of this Stefan guy? And I'm like, yeah, got him on speed dial, actually. They love your stuff, dude. They show it. Like, whenever I assume they're hungover and they don't want to teach, they just show your videos.
Yeah, that's always the best compliment, really. I just chatted to a bunch of university students at the University of Frankfurt.
Okay.
Their archaeology department, or at least one of their professors, invited me to come chat to their students about making YouTube videos about archaeology. And that's always
virtual, or did you go over there?
It was virtual. Okay. But I didn't I don't know why. I didn't even think about the time difference until the night before. And like sometimes I just forget that I live in America, I suppose. And it was at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, Frankfurt time, Central European time. And that was 3 a.m. here in Portland. So I had to set my alarm. I was so blurry. Like, I don't know if I made any sense chatting to these kids, but they seem to enjoy it.
Well, that's good. Yeah, especially post COVID with everything being virtual and stuff. I have, like, people always ask, can you do this? And it's easier. How to explain it? Like, a university, for those listening, can usually pay you like to fly out and put you in a hotel and like do a dinner with the students and stuff. But since COVID, it's always been like, just do it via Zoom, and then they don't pay you sometimes. Sometimes they do. So it's like made that a lot easier, but also at the same time, it kind of makes the touring around, which is something I was planning on doing, not as prevalent. But yes, where I was going with that is the time difference and also forgetting you have it, because I left an entire assembly of students in Florida just in the lurch. And that I assume the poor teacher was just like, he'll be here any minute. And I just never signed up or never signed into the Zoom and left the kids. I felt terrible. Anyway, sorry, anecdote, but I made up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, I can't seem to check the call settings now that we're in the middle of the recording.
You can't. I also wondered too, is my mic working? Let me hit my webcam.
Your mic is working, but it doesn't sound like mine is.
It's working. Yeah, I hear
When I hit that, you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
Keep all of that in. That's podcast gold.
This is how it works.
The microphone.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to think of things that people that watch your stuff would love to know. We could all come up organically, but I guess we talked about this on Ruins. Stefan also is in the probably like 7 timers club on Ruins. Basically the 4th co-host.
Whenever you guys forget to book someone, in comes Stefan Milo.
Yeah.
Save the day.
And like we would have a group chat, me, Connor, and Carlton, and we were like, "Did we read this?" And we'll ask you a question, and then you just fire back a paragraph of like really well, eloquently said something about Homo erectus. So really, he's better than us. You just know.
Well, I spend a lot of time thinking about Homo erectus. That's something we can talk about today, even because I got a video on the mind about that. But
they're the underrated hominid, dude. They're my favorite, I would think.
They're the OG, really. I mean, if it was up to me, I would call us Homo erectus sapiens, and Neanderthals would be Homo erectus neanderthalensis. That to me seems like the most logical way to organize our species. I know it won't work like that because Homo sapiens was named first, so I suppose we would be Homo sapiens sapiens and they'd be Homo sapiens erectus, but I don't like that. I don't like that. It feels like the oldest thing should go first, like the oldest thing in chronologically.
That would make sense too. And when I took hominid evolution in grad school, basically the gist was everything changes every year when something new comes out and they got to rearrange everything. But if you were to like give an elevator pitch to a bunch of students who know nothing about it, I would always tell them, and I do always tell them, Homo erectus, and then that leaves Africa to Europe and Asia, and then there's Homo erectus in Africa, and then it's all just, we're all mutant Homo erectus, essentially.
Seems so.
Yeah, I don't know.
It seems so. To that? But yeah, there's something, although within that, there's obviously like lots of things that could have happened that we don't know about. For example, like humans and Neanderthals and Denisovans were all much more closely related than that time Homo erectus left Africa, right? Say 2 million years ago. Whereas our last common ancestor with those guys is like maximum 1 million years ago, it seems, from the evidence we have. So it's like Homo erectus left Africa, like, and then another group left Africa and became Neanderthals and then became Neanderthals and Denisovans, and then we left Africa again. It's so dynamic, all these things. And Homo erectus could have migrated back into Africa. You know, the last common ancestor of us and Neanderthals, we don't know where they lived in the world. They didn't necessarily live in Africa. and yeah, it's crazy, but it's crazy and it's complicated and it's super interesting. But Homo erectus, once you get upright, walking, big-brained hominin, I
Making
feel
fire.
like we're all
Yeah.
just like a variation of that. Like Homo erectus is the blueprint.
I would 100% agree with that. And it's just the easiest way to explain it. And I know a lot of people that aren't too familiar with evolution or human evolution that probably think, it's like Neanderthal then evolved into human and it's like a gradual or like a A to B to C. But that's just not it. And that's very difficult to explain. But starting with Homo erectus as the building block, I think that makes it a little more succinct and easier to explain. You need like a map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was João Teixeira, geneticist in Australia, although he is Portuguese, who helped me a lot with genetics videos on the Denisovans. He prefers to think of evolution as like, instead of a tree, more of like a river delta. Imagine it like that. Because a tree, when a branch separates, it never comes back together. Whereas like rivers and streams do, they can diverge and come back together. So he thinks like a river delta is a better analogy than a tree.
I like that.
And
And it makes a lot more sense.
I like that. Yeah, like our genetics is the river, is the water flowing in this river, and we can be separated for a little bit, and we can come back together, and sometimes we are permanently separated. But yeah, we've just been cruising around the planet for a couple of million years now, and just boinking each other and getting into all sorts of shenanigans. So it's hard to define these things.
They're all boinking each other, which is my favorite part. And then, yeah. It, I don't know. Homo erectus has fire, to my knowledge. Now, Naledi apparently did too, though I don't know where I'm standing on that. I don't know enough about it to say yes or no, but.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it.
Erectus is when our teeth start getting smaller, right? If I remember correctly. You got it back there. I can't exactly tell. He's got a
gradually our faces and jaws have been getting smaller. And for sure that started with Homo erectus. If you look at Homo erectus, their teeth is massive compared to ours, though.
Okay. I forget where it starts getting a lot smaller.
I don't... Oh, shit. Oh, well.
I'm a rock guy.
It's okay. I don't know, which camera do you want me to point this at? The fancy camera or the zoom camera?
Fancy camera's better. I'll put it up.
Well, I'll show you quickly. You see, like, Takana boy's teeth compared to a modern human's teeth.
Shows you, ain't it?
Huge size difference.
Yeah, that is a big difference.
Yeah. Lots of people think this is Takana boy. It's actually just a British guy.
From 1840s London.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, yeah. So I guess where I was going with that for people listening is like, once fire starts being wielded or harnessed, whatever word you want to use, utilized, your teeth and your jaw got a lot smaller because the fire is doing a lot of the work for you.
I don't know how much Homo erectus was using fire, though.
You don't know?
I don't think so. At least Homo erectus is probably in the time period where we start experimenting with that. But the evidence... But we don't have, like, widespread evidence for consistent use of fire to the point where, we're obviously creating it on whenever we want until like 300,000-400,000 years ago. So it is interesting because, like you said, there are these ideas that our bodies are changed by the cooking of food.
Right.
And that could be true. But if it is true, the fires that they were using has not left a big archaeological trace at all.
Yeah. Okay.
But they could have been using them very sporadically. They could have been taking advantage of natural fires. Mm-hmm. They could have been so rubbish at it that it's barely even like a hearth, It's so like we would think of it as like, oh, what is this rubbish fire? Maybe. So there are lots of ways you could explain that, but yeah, it's like obvious, deliberate, like use of fire by humans over a huge geographical area comes in surprisingly late.
Okay. Interesting. So this is one of the things about paleo for those listening that is interesting because I haven't been in school for almost 10 years now. So the last stuff I've like seriously read about this was 10 years ago. So much new stuff pops out that like back then I would have been not right or wrong. It's just like what I knew. So like now things are just, I don't know. That's what I find so interesting about paleo because it just changes so much. But I could have
Genetics
just been
has
wrong
really
about that
changed it in
general.
a big way,
Yeah.
for sure. Like when I was at uni, we spent a lot of time talking about Bronze Age transition. It's a big deal in European archaeology. It's probably the reason we're all speaking Indo-European languages and all of this. Very important moment in our history.
Mm-hmm.
And to use that example from the Black Death, we literally had no idea that they had that. We had no ability to even test for that. This cheap access to genetic information is incredible, really. Changing it, so many things.
Yeah. Especially because like anybody can just see if they have Neanderthal ancestry as part of their 23andMe. I think is pretty fascinating in general.
Yeah.
But
Although it's getting to the point now where it's like, obviously you do, and it's 2%.
everybody, it's within two. Yeah.
You can pay the money to test for it. I've paid the money to test for it. And the results will be yes, 2%.
Or about the same.
Unless you're African American or something, then you might have an interesting result.
Right. Should be less.
Or
right?
if maybe if you're watching this from Papua New Guinea, I think you'd have an interesting result. But I don't think they test for Denisovan DNA yet.
Well, not that I know of.
So yeah, I think a lot of these tests, they're going to come back and say like you're a super Neanderthal, like more Neanderthal than 99% of the population. But what they're actually identifying is Denisovan DNA, but their thing isn't sophisticated enough to separate it from Neanderthal.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it'll get there because I'd be curious to know too. But
it will. It will. I mean, as men of European descent, our Denisovan DNA is going to be close to zero.
Probably because they're way up in lower Siberia, East Asia area, right?
Yeah. East Asia, for sure. Siberia, and almost certainly like island Southeast Asia too.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere in like Indonesia, probably. I did a whole video on these skulls that have been identified as Homo erectus, but they could be Denisovans. To be honest, they could.
I remember that one. That was a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of videos, and I don't want to be wrong anymore. I remember us talking. So you're from Serbia and you moved to Britain, or your family was from Serbia and you were born in Britain.
My granddad was from Serbia. Yeah, I'm born in Britain. I even have
Gotcha.
some Serbian shoes here on the floor.
But you went there for study abroad, right? That is an interesting shoe.
Yeah. Do you know why they're curved at the front like that?
For kicking people?
Nah.
Oh.
So when you're like crouching down to take a shit, you have something to hold on to.
I was going to make a Slav squat joke, but I didn't go there, and I'm happy to.
I'm just joking, by the way. I'm just joking. Like that's not actually true at all. But that's what my uncle in Serbia would always tell me, just to wind me up.
That's really funny.
Yeah. That's not true at all. But
so
that's a joke in the village.
That's a good one. You forget where you're at, like a northern part. You went to Sheffield for school.
Yeah.
But where are you from in Britain, if you don't mind asking, or England?
Worcester, West Midlands, right in the middle of the country.
I was telling Stefan when I went to London, I asked some lady on the tube, do you know where Leicester Square is? And she gave me like the biggest smile and was like, Leicester.
Yeah. It's Leicester, love.
She was like, oh, this guy.
You stupid yank. It's Leicester.
Okay, so that's where you're not Leicester, you're from
Worcester.
Worcester. Okay.
Well, you would say Worcester too, right? What do you call the town in Massachusetts?
We have Worcester. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we say it. And then there's Worcestershire. Sorry, I can't do that one.
Yeah.
Worcestershire is, I think I call it. But okay, and then you went to Sheffield for school.
Yeah. Sheffield Uni.
And who'd you work with there? I know you were just undergrad, but
I was just undergrad. I don't think anyone remembers me, but I did. Paul Pettit was one of my professors. He's at the University of Durham now. He does a lot of Neanderthal stuff. Yeah, Mike Parker Pearson does a lot of Bronze Age stuff. He's been excavating Stonehenge a lot. Another professor who I did like a study abroad program with to the Czech Republic was a man named Marek Zvilabil. He's dead now. He died just after we graduated, actually. But he was a great guy and took me and a few others to the Czech Republic. So I did the Erasmus program at the University of Pilsen. Shout out to all the Czech homies.
you call them Pilsners?
Yeah. Oh, man. Those guys can bloody drink, let me tell you. Crazy. Crazy.
I bet.
Yeah, I wouldn't enter a drinking competition against a Czech person. Like, I know everyone has that pride, like, oh, actually, we drink the most, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I would put a Czech person against almost anyone. Those guys can drink.
Carlton told me when he was working in Ukraine that like it's definitely an American thing, and professors will come around and be like, "Have you been drinking water?" Like drink and hand you water because of legal reasons. But when he was in Ukraine, he didn't see anybody drink water all day, and he felt selfish for like constantly refilling his water. And he was like, "I saw one dude only drank vodka that day, never drank out of a water bottle." I was like, "That's impressive."
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's an American thing or that we drink that much water.
I don't know. Yeah.
But the stereotype being, I think the Balkans and the Slavic areas can pound it down from what I've noticed.
They can drink for sure. But I will say Americans can drink a beer. Like yes. Americans can demolish a lot of beers. I will say that.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Especially in archaeology. Like I had a crew chief when I was working out west on the reservation who, like after work, we would just sit in the hotel parking lot and just finish a bottle of tequila. Like that was the entertainment for the night. There's nothing else to do. But I can't do that life every day. That's why I'm on the internet now.
No. There was a lot of weed smoking as well, at least when I was at uni in archaeology departments.
Yep.
Like in the Czech Republic too. Those guys smoke a lot as well. They're smoking and drinking out there. They're smoking, drinking, and barbecuing sausages. That's what I know about the Czechs. And eating dumplings, man.
That seems like what I've noticed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you did that, and then you met your wife and moved to the States. I don't know how much you want to talk about that, but that's kind of a cool story.
I mean, that's basically it. I wasn't an archaeologist at that point. I was working as an English teacher in Spain, in Madrid. Shout out to all the Spain homies. And my wife was doing the same. She had just graduated uni here in America. And met, fell in love, moved to America, got my green card. And now I have 2 children and a mortgage, and I don't do any big drinking or smoking anymore like I was in the Czech Republic.
You got kids
Those
now.
days are gone, yeah.
And she's American, right? She
is, yeah.
Okay.
But she was born in Vietnam. So we have a little British, Serbian, Vietnamese, American family on the go.
Are you teaching them Serbian and she's teaching them Vietnamese?
I don't speak Serbian very well, to be honest. I speak it like a kid, but I teach them a little bit just so it's in their brain, you know. But their Vietnamese is way better for sure.
Cool,
because their mum's Vietnamese, and at least here in Portland, there's a lot of Vietnamese people. So when they're old enough to go to elementary school, aka primary school, they'll do half the day in the Vietnamese language.
Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah.
I think after Spanish and French, Vietnamese is the most spoken foreign language here. I thought it would be Korean, but it ended up being Vietnamese, according to one thing I read. Which tracks, because I know a lot of Vietnamese people growing up in New York.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've only ever lived in Oregon in America, but at least in like California, Oregon, Washington, there's a lot of Vietnamese people.
Yeah.
Hawaii too, a lot of Vietnamese people. I don't know. I think in Texas there's a lot, but I don't know how.
I heard that in the thing too. Yeah.
Yeah,
They have a big Chinatown in Houston and their extent Vietnamese area too.
yeah,
Well, this
yeah.
podcast is now about Vietnamese language, but anyway, yeah. So you then moved to the States, and did you start working at IT, or that was just where you ended up before you did YouTube?
That was just where I ended up. I was just became the receptionist at a credit union, and eventually found myself in their IT department because I could use a computer. And then, shout out to the credit union homies. There's not much interesting going on there. But that was the time when I was like, I'm going to make YouTube videos. That was the time when Casey Neistat was popping off.
Yeah.
And I just felt like my career is going nowhere. I'm not doing the thing that I'm interested in. And then I just saw a Casey Neistat video, and I was like, oh, that's what I'm going to do.
He's what I'm gonna do. Really good at putting little videos together. He's like one of the best.
Yeah, it was just I found it so inspirational to see someone just sort of take their own destiny into their hands. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I basically before that point had just bounced from one job into another without much deliberate choice or not much planning ahead, just whatever paid the bills that month. But yeah, so I had just seen that, and I was like, I was just going to start making YouTube videos, and didn't start making archaeology videos, but here we are now.
Yeah, I think I had never seen any of your videos. They might have popped up, and I just didn't click on them yet, or like, because I was at the stage too where I was like, all right, I want to do YouTube, but I had my curation job. And I would like watch, I did Skillshare. I was like, how do I use a camera? And then ended up doing the Instagram, and I worked with Ettore. And then Ettore, I don't know how you say it in actual, Ettore, was like, have you seen Stefan? And he sent me your videos, and I was like, oh God, this guy's fucking good at this. And you used all the same stuff. But then you and I had like an hour-long conversation on the phone one day, and I was like, this guy's chill. And that was like 4 years ago.
I know, it's actually shocking how long I've been doing this, and I still feel like I don't fully know what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
And you worked well enough, or you were doing well enough on YouTube, and your wife also works, so you were like, I'm gonna just stop and do this full time, and that's what you do now.
Yeah, once YouTube, the first time in a month I earned the same on YouTube as I had at my job. That's when I was like, okay, my time at this job is basically over now. Like I can't be bothered to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was when I took the plunge into full-time making videos. I think sometimes they don't think I'm making doing this full time, because at best I'm making like a video every 3 weeks, but it's tricky. I care very much about reporting the stuff that I talk about accurately, and that just takes time. It just takes time. Mm-hmm. It takes time to find people to interview, and then to turn that interview into a video, and then I let them see the video before I release it, just to make sure I haven't taken anything out of context. And it takes a lot of just time thinking. Like I'm just sat there thinking so much, because every video is basically a completely different topic, and so I have to learn so much with every one.
Yeah.
Like for example, this one in the Black Death, I learned so much about the Black Death now. It's kind of crazy. Like, did you know the Black Death is only like 6,000 years old? Like, it evolved very recently.
I would have thought it was as young as whenever it happened in Europe, but I didn't think about that.
See, to me, it always seems like these things would have been around for forever. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
okay.
we,
Like just going around in the smaller scale.
yeah, like for example, herpes. We've had herpes for forever, and
Yeah.
like every species of animal has its own variety of herpes because we've had it for so long. And I kind of assume the Black Death was like that. Like it's just been around for forever. Periodically, it flares up, kills half
Mm.
of us, and then retreats back down. But it actually evolved very recently, relatively. I mean,
Huh.
humans have been around a lot longer than the Black Death. Just stuff like
Interesting.
that's so interesting to me. I don't know why.
I saw a thing that they could track. There's like a method of tracking human migration out of Africa and down through Southeast Asia through crabs and
Oh,
lice,
really?
which like was interesting to me. I forget
Oh,
where I saw
well,
that,
yeah.
but
Yeah, for sure. And the bacteria in our stomachs as well. Like if you do the evolutionary tree of this bacteria that causes stomach ulcers, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But if you do like a family tree of this bacteria, it plots so well to our family tree.
hmm.
And it's another way in the early days of DNA when they're thinking, all this is so new and they're wondering like, how do we test these ideas we have? They did like a genetic family tree of our stomach bacteria and it matched the evidence of human migration too.
Huh.
It's kind of crazy.
I remember learning a lot about gut biomes being a thing in or biological anthropology, but I didn't think about tracking it that way. That's pretty sick.
I mean, they can do it with animals too that follow us around a lot. Like there's one species of mice which is from Norway. It's from Northern Europe, and their modern distribution tracks really well with the Viking explorations.
Okay.
So you can kind of use mice DNA as well to see how Vikings traveled around. And
They were
interestingly,
hiding
this,
out on the ship, I guess.
yeah, exactly. They're
Yeah.
coming with
Okay.
the Vikings on their ships, little stowaways. And interestingly, that species of mouse is also found in the Azores. And it's one of the interesting pieces of information that suggests that maybe the Vikings made it to the Azores. Because
Hmm.
everywhere else these mice are is where the Vikings were. And these mice are also on the Azores.
And that's off of like Morocco, like way out
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Portuguese island. It's basically Europe's Hawaii. It's really in the middle of the Atlantic.
Huh. Well, that would check
Uh,
out. And they went there. They got all the way to Newfoundland, and then yeah,
yeah, it's basically a straight shot south from like Iceland and Greenland. If one of
yeah.
them, if you had a gang of Vikings who was up there and thought, you know what, this is too cold, let's just go back to Constantinople again and be like guards for the emperor, they could have easily wound up in the Azores, I suppose.
That's a fun story too. I remember there's like a bunch of Vikings had to defend the Pope at one point, and then the Byzantine Emperor. I forget where I had learned that, but lots of cool. The Vikings were pretty influential. Is like much, or I guess the Norse, whatever you want to call them, all over the place. Like especially with the Kievan Rus and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got all over. We speak like English is like a Norse French hybrid kind of, and Celtic, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
You would know more
I
about
mean,
that
I
than
don't.
me.
If you go to the north of England and Scotland, their language is more influenced by, Norse languages for sure. I don't know how
Yeah,
much me as a Midlander, how many Viking words are in my vocabulary. Some for sure.
my last
Skill,
name
I
is
think, is a Viking
Hauger
word.
in Norse, but then it became like How in Scottish Gaelic or whatever. But
Yeah,
Hauger, I think is what it is. I don't know. Milo Sajevich is your
Hodor.
actual name, right? Hodor.
I mean, David Ian Hodor.
That I should go by that, dude. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Um, Hodor. I didn't know you watched Game of Thrones. Um, where was it going? Vikings, right? I'm gonna just segue into your book. I forget what it's called. I know it's red. You did it with Anna Goldfield.
Yeah.
What's it called? And let's talk about it.
Tales of the Ancient Worlds.
Okay.
Tales of the Ancient Worlds. It's a children's book about interesting archaeology. That's been out for a couple of years now, even.
Yeah, I remember
Probably
that
needs
coming out
another
a bit ago.
version because it's been so long.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's probably the thing that I was most proud about in a way. My old primary school invited me to talk to the kids about the book, and to go to your old primary school and talk about something like that is kind of an honor in a way. I was really
Yeah, dude.
touched that they would want me to speak to the kids. And they asked so many funny questions. Like the teachers they were trying to get them to ask questions about ancient history and stuff. And the kids would be like, the teacher would be like, "Have you got any questions?" And they'd all put their hand up, and you'd point at a kid, and they'd be like, "What's your favorite dinner?" and, and do you have any pets? And stuff like that. And
Nothing about the pyramids or anything.
yeah, what football team do you support? And it's so cute. It's so cute. It's so nice.
That's cool, man. What made you come up with making a kids book?
I was just asked to do it. They
Oh,
just reached
okay.
out. They just reached out because just if you have a YouTube channel, and everything nowadays seems to be to find someone with an audience to do a thing, promote the
Mhm.
thing. Try and have some customers already baked in to your product. And I don't mean that as in like a disrespectful way. That just seems to be what a lot of companies are trying to do.
Yeah.
But I was still very honored to be asked, and we made a great book. Covers lots of global history, and from like human evolution down to the Vikings. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, they asked me because I have a YouTube audience, so they figured I could sell a lot of books.
So a lot of people, and that's how sponsorships and stuff work too. They reach out to you through YouTube and stuff, or through your email, I'd imagine. And like for Blue Apron or Blue Chew, or not Blue Chew, sorry, we'll cut that out.
Blue Chew.
Blue
I'd do a
Apron or
sponsorship for Blue
Toxos.
Chew.
I would too. Can make it about Neanderthals and like humans bang. I always thought that'd be funny.
Yeah.
We can do one right now. That's good.
Why did Neanderthals lose their Y chromosome? Because they didn't have Blue Chew,
They
man.
didn't take Blue Chew. Let's see. So yeah, you did Keeps. I mean, we don't have to go into your sponsorships, but is that for the people listening? That's kind of the general how that works, or I guess if you don't want to give tools of the trade.
Yeah, I mean, they are just trying to find, an audience that will in some way relate to their product. So I get, my audience is not exclusively men, but is a large part men who are balding. So companies like Keeps, they want to work together, and yeah, that's how that works. Neanderthals did lose their Y chromosome, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
I did not know that. I thought that was just a joke.
No.
Can you speak to that?
Yeah, we at some point, obviously, we banged Neanderthals about 50,000 years ago, and that's why we all have that 2% DNA. But if you imagine human evolution as a stream, as we were talking about earlier, and branches breaking off and coming back together,
Yeah.
it seems like about 180,000 years ago, very long ago, for sure, over like 150,000 years ago, I think, we had shagged them again, and the Neanderthal Y chromosome was replaced by like an early Homo sapiens Y chromosome.
Does that have to do with some of the offspring being mules and stuff? Or...
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
It's just that the offspring of that mating, one of them happened to be a man, and that man's had men and continued to have men, and that Y chromosome just became like widespread.
Interesting.
It's very easy for like Y chromosomes and mitochondrial DNA to drop in and out of populations because, for example, my children all have the mitochondrial DNA from their mother, right?
Right.
And if hypothetically we all had sons, we've lost that mitochondrial link. So mitochondria and Y chromosomes can drop in and out very easily because they're passed on based on sex. So if you just happen to have all sons or you happen to have all girls, you can, lose that genetic information.
This is stuff I just don't know about. I don't read too much into the genetics aspect. So that's really good.
Yeah, if I had my time again, I think I would go back and study genetics, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate it when I was 18.
It wasn't as big. Then that recently became a huge thing in the field.
Yeah.
Just today, somebody messaged me saying that bison antiquus actually isn't an extinct species. It's the same thing as bison. And that came from an ungulate PhD. So I was like, oh, okay, you're right. But didn't know that. Also, while you're looking that up, fix my camera.
Yeah, so when I graduated in 2010, we had only just got the first Neanderthal genome. So basically all this genetic stuff is kind of kicked off since I graduated university.
Which was when?
2010.
Okay.
So yeah, when I was at uni, we weren't even discussing this stuff, to be honest.
I think I graduated in 2014. Yeah, I started college in 2010. And I don't remember it being too huge of a thing till grad school. But I knew that was something, especially here in the States, if you wanted to do genetics, you went over to Max Planck or Oxford to work on that. And now it seems to be everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was I graduated in 2010, yeah. You graduated in 2014? How old are you?
32 right now.
A mere boy. A mere youngster. Not like my ripe old 35.
Still need keeps. I forget you're 35. Yeah. Sorry, hang on. Elko's barking. Be right back.
I'll just pick my nose whilst David's gone. Hopefully he'll cut it out.
Fucked up my camera angle, but whatever. No one's here. Just the mailman. That's what dogs do. What were we on? Genetics?
Yeah. How much in just the 14 years since I graduated, it's totally changed our understanding of everything. Yeah. It's just, I suppose I was just a young kid. I wasn't thinking about the future, really. I have barely ever thought about the future, just always sort of gone with the flow. But if I had the foresight to do that, it would have been great to study genetics for sure.
What made you go into, I guess over there it's strictly archaeology. What made you want to study that versus not genetics at the time?
It wouldn't have even entered my mind to study genetics, to be honest.
Yeah.
I only fell into liking human evolution because I did that degree. When I signed up to go to university, I thought I was going to study the Roman period. And it was only from doing the bachelor's degree where you get introduced to everything that I was like, oh man, prehistory is actually where it's at.
Same.
So it wouldn't have even entered my mind to apply because I thought I was just going to be studying Roman pottery. But I could have probably done a master's or something. But again, I've just never thought about the future so much. I've never really planned ahead for anything. So
you kind of just walk into stuff.
Basically, it sounds kind of flippant, but that's probably an honest assessment of my life.
I only did grad school because my parents forced me to because they were you're not, a BA is not enough in America anymore. And then also when I was a shitty student and I wanted to do history. Yeah. But when I started taking prehistoric archaeology classes, I was like, okay, this is my jam. And then my friends in those classes ended up also applying to grad school, and our professors kind of pushed us too. And that's the only reason I did it. Don't regret it at all. But I don't know. It's just to get jobs in anthropology, I definitely would tell people you need a master's. But to do what you're doing, it's all you do in grad school anyway is just read papers, which is what you're doing for a living now.
Yeah, it's tricky. I don't know. What I didn't appreciate at the time, I think, and I think this is good advice. I'm not sure. I think this is good advice if someone is wants to be an archaeologist, is that it's way more useful to be the person who knows how to do radiocarbon dating or knows how to test something for genetics than it is to be like the specific expert on first century Rome. Do you know what I mean? Like someone
It's
who knows how to
lucrative.
do someone who knows how to do radiocarbon dating can apply that skill to many time periods, help out in many different projects, all of this. But you don't need an expert on first century Rome unless you're specifically doing a project on that, and those are obviously few and far between. So
Yeah.
that is my understanding as someone who has never properly worked in the industry. That's my understanding of what would help for sure.
Yeah. Archaeometry, I think, is like the word that encompasses all of like the mass spectronomy, the radiocarbon dating, and then there's isotope analysis stuff. That's all like the lucrative. That's where the science is in archaeology, not just the artifact aspects. But yeah, if you want to be employable, that is definitely a thing. But also employable, number one, working for companies that do like beta analytics is a big one here. But just to be on papers, like all these Neanderthal and like Homo erectus papers and stuff, like you got to know how, you got to be an isotope person, or you got to know an isotope person to be on the paper with you to do the research. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Beta analytics, man. I only work with alpha analytics. I don't know what's going on with those guys.
that's good.
Yeah.
So you're doing your YouTube stuff. We don't have to get into your process and whatnot, but what exactly like inspires you? Like what's a day to day of a Stefan Milo video? Like from like what? How does this happen?
The day to day is writing. Nothing becomes video if it's not a script first. And that's not to say you can't have like funny moments or ad libs or things like that, but you know, ultimately I'm not vlogging, right? I get so jealous of people who just turn on a camera, like go do the thing and then just turn it into a video. I get so jealous of that.
Same.
Because it's so much work to create a video where the value is like in the information you're providing. And people watch my videos not just for the information, they watch because they like hanging out with me. But ultimately, you know, you've got to provide that information. So the day-to-day job is just writing. It's just reading and writing.
Yeah.
And now it's sort of gotten a little bit formulaic. I can kind of sort of see the structure of the video when I'm, you know, chatting to the person and stuff. I've done it so many times now, where to the point where I can like quickly imagine the structure of the video. But still, you've got to sit down and write it. You've got to. If you can't get that information from your brain to a piece of paper, you can't explain it to someone else. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm just writing, and I want to spend less time editing and more time filming.
Yeah.
To give my videos like a little bit more of a dynamic touch. I don't know. I think
razzle
about that.
dazzle.
Little razzle dazzle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would like to start a series where I just go to historical sites as well.
Yeah.
Where there isn't just you know, it would almost be like another show in a way, like the main videos where I interview an expert and we discuss this complicated topic. And then also like, hey, come hang out with me in Pompeii or something like that.
Like what Graham Hancock just did, but, you know, better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, those videos are highly produced too.
Yeah.
This would
like,
literally be like, do you know the YouTuber Peter Santinello? You ever seen that guy?
No, I don't.
Or, yeah, I don't know. Just something like I've got an idea for a video at the minute that hopefully I'll be able to produce maybe this month of just going and seeing all the rock art around Oregon and the Columbia River Valley. And just going and seeing it. Okay.
Yeah, you
Give
got
me
it.
1 second here.
Yeah, you're good. We'll be right back.
And
And we're back.
ad break.
Ad break. I'll put the thing there.
Brought to you by insert product.
Fire. How old is
Fire.
fire?
How old is fire? Not more than 1 million.
Okay.
And we were definitely fiddling around. And we weren't good at it until like 400,000 years ago.
The sponsorship email says to give the disclaimer that it could cause forest fires and charring of the skin. So just so you guys know, I still endorse it. Use code David. Oh shit!
I'm sponsored by pine resin these days.
Are you?
Yeah, big
Okay.
pine resin.
Do you think big pitch?
They made me an offer. Yeah, big pitch. They made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
They pitched an idea to you. I just got word from Connor. I'm going to the Clovis site tonight for the weekend. Apparently, they found a super thin biface today, so that's cool. Clovis era, Folsom.
Is that where you're? Where Carlton's excavating?
He's excavating at a different place, but they're about an hour apart. It's funny. They're getting the flint and chert from where Carlton's at and bringing it to this Clovis site, or the paleo people did. But
yeah,
this is the paleo site that I have all of the footage for that you have.
We'll never see.
I think at this point I might just put it on the internet and just like have footage just going, and like it'll be cool. Maybe with some.
Well, why are you so precious about it? What's taken so long?
Because I'm sure you're the same way.
For the people who don't know, David here literally excavated a mammoth or mastodon. Has a bunch of sick footage. Won't turn it into a video.
Yes, I'll answer that. First, I want to say, Stefan and I will probably chat like once a month. Sometimes you just call to say hey.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, "Hey mate, how's the mammoth footage coming?" And I'm like, "That's not your accent at all." But yeah. And I don't have it. But what I want to do, that was an atrocious impression. Like I want to make it a document. So this is the problem I run into with YouTube. We can get into the nitty gritty. Is like I have this footage. I want to make sure it's good, and I'm like, maybe I should do it as a documentary. But I want the documentary to be good. I want to be able to submit it to like a not film festival, but just be able to use it and be proud of it. But then that involves so much writing, having to do reshoots. Then I'm like, do I narrate it? And then
don't do any reshoots.
Yeah.
No reshoots.
I'm going today. I can get a few more bits of footage, but yeah, I just struggle with it, and it's like, should I just do a podcast? But then my main, or like podcast it like I'm talking right now, and then have the footage over top and explain it. But my problem is like my videos don't get too many views. The lecture did great, and that's the format I need to stick with. I just need to do more lectures. But like I'm going to put all that work into it, and it's going to get like 1,000 views. But if it's really good and my channel gets bigger, then it's just going to get passive views more and more as it goes. So I don't know how any of that works. How do you deal with that?
You've just got to give yourself permission to make a bad video, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things I could do to improve my videos, but to do them would take too long, and so they can't be done.
So you just pull the trigger and get them done.
Just get them done. Just get them done. At the end of the day, it will be good because people are interested in seeing how a mammoth is excavated, and you're just overthinking it, man.
Yeah.
You're just overthinking it. Just get your audio recorder out. Just say what you want to say about the mammoth. Chop it up and put some relevant footage over the top. Like maybe as you're such a podcast guy, start with the audio first. Just say what you want to say about this mammoth.
Just riff about the site.
Just riff about it whilst you're looking at footage. Get the juices flowing, just speaking to the microphone. And then at the end of after you've done that for an hour, you've probably got everything you want to say about this mammoth.
Yeah.
And you can start assembling the video. Just do it.
Yeah. I need to do that. And then, but see, my mind's already going into like, well, I need to wait till they do more of the data analysis because then I can add that over top and then I can animate it. And then it's going to look stupid if I don't animate it. But I know that's the overthinking. So
I
yeah,
wouldn't. If you have to wait for an academic paper to get published to produce a sick video, you're going to be waiting for forever, man.
yeah, true.
You're literally going to be waiting
Um,
for forever. Don't make the angle of the video this specific discovery about this mastodon. Just make it about the mastodon in general and your experience excavating them. You know, you must
yeah,
have some like candid moments caught on camera
I have
where,
plenty. Yeah, like when we
yeah,
pull up a Folsom Point. Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah,
So there's loads of interesting candid moments that people just don't see. No one how many people have excavated something like that? Not
yeah,
many, but there
very
are
true.
many thousands and thousands of people who would want to see it. And yeah, just don't be precious about it. If it's the worst video ever made, what does it matter?
It's still mammoth bones being pulled out of the ground. Yeah,
Even if like this is what I tell myself to get over the crippling fear of because when you start making videos and a lot of people watch them, it can kind of get to the point of like, is this good? You start to get paralyzed by indecision a little bit.
right.
And so I just tell myself, like, if this was the worst video ever made, what would it matter? Like, who cares? Who cares? If I literally made the worst video ever, who cares?
Right.
Just get it. Because the thing is, you won't. You won't make the worst video ever. It'll still be cool
Yeah.
because you're doing cool stuff and people are interested to see it. So just make it.
I was trying to think of a joke of what is the worst video ever made, but
I don't know.
think
It's
of one
probably
later.
all. I've probably already made it. It's probably one of mine. Like,
Um, but yeah, I see what you mean, and I need to do it. I know every time we talk, I say I say the same shit. But
yeah,
I'm here. I'm going to the site tomorrow. I might even or tonight. I might even spitball with them. Like, what do you think is a good idea? How do we do this? And then I'll come home and just fire it off. I can even record it there. Um, but yeah, so I'll do that. So I did. There's the Clovis site that had a mammoth at it. They pulled the mammoth out of the ground in the 80s, but then there's the giant extensive occupation around it. That's what they're continuing to dig, and I have most of the footage of that. The mammoth site that I dug was a completely different site, and that one was there's a mammoth that died just about with the radiocarbon dating around it, just about the time people got to Wyoming. So we were digging it up to see like maybe people did kill this, but it just ended up being not to spoil it, a mammoth that just died ass up in a stream, like probably an old one. But it was cool, and like for that one, I could pitch it as like it's a rancher. He hired a ranch hand to dig a well for the sheep, and as he did that, he pulled out the giant femoral head of a mammoth, and the guy was like, "This is a dinosaur," and brought it to the museum or to the university, and they were like, "That's a mammoth bone." And then the guy was a billionaire rancher, invited people to come out at the school to come out and dig it, and it was like a fun process and stuff. So I could make the video of this like start to finish how that worked.
yeah,
And I think that'll work. Yeah,
yeah. I wouldn't worry about whether a human killed it because people still watch documentaries about dinosaurs. Do you
true.
know what I mean?
I
People
guess
still
that
watch
was
nature
just the research
documentaries.
question of the thing. But yeah, just a documentary of like here's what digging is and yada
How old
yada.
is this mammoth?
I don't want to misquote the dates, but it's 13.5, and I believe people got to Wyoming 13,200 years ago.
They were there at the same
I'll
time.
fix the dates here. Yeah, it that's the thing because like this Clovis site, the other one is a massive occupation. They even found more, just this giant like kegger outside a dead mammoth.
Yeah.
But the other one, so it's like that was going on. It's hard to find that many concentrated, huge Folsom or Clovis sites. So
I mean,
like there could have been
if
people
the
here,
difference is just a couple of 100 years by radiocarbon dating, which has a window of time anyway,
right?
we're probably splitting hairs. It's about the time people were there.
Yeah. So that's why we went in, and usually for something like that, you'd have a paleontology crew dig it up. But since it was so close, the school was like, archaeology, take it. And it was kind of cool to see a big Pleistocene animal be excavated archaeologically instead of paleontologically. Um, but that's because you got to do the careful screen. Here I am, like actually pitching the exact video.
You're literally don't even make this podcast. Just take this audio out and make the video.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean now. Okay. So I can do that. I'll stop ranting about the thing, but they just found a big biface there today, and they found last time I was there, we were digging auger probes, like the big just things you ratchet into the ground, and just flakes and flakes and flakes came out. So this is probably the biggest Clovis site in the country. What's turning out to be. So
nice.
That's cool. Yeah. So we already talked about when you're coming up with videos, how it works, and stuff like that. You get over I guess how you put it, the crippling fear of it being bad. I less so worry about it being bad, more so than I don't want to consider it bad. Like if the audience does whatever. But yeah, I don't know.
I'm happy.
Hard.
I mean, I like to make a video that I think is good, of course, and that the people I interview think is good. But when you're only a one-man band, like you have to accept certain limitations, right?
True. Yeah.
You know, they're not chatting to BBC production team.
Right.
We're just making YouTube videos. Like it's okay. It's okay to not take yourself so seriously. Because if you're enthusiastic, it's going to be fine. It's going to be cool.
Yeah. That's the case, especially when you do the ones where you're kind of like doing a vlog style talking about it. I can tell you're having fun with it. Like the one we did the other day with the dogs. Like you were out in the woods.
Yeah, not very popular
like
that one, but
yeah.
That was a bad concept to start. I wasn't sure how to frame that one. And it
was still interesting.
I thought it was interesting, but I had sort of tied myself into a production schedule. That's the hard thing with sponsors. Sometimes you make a video. Like I'm working on multiple videos always at the same time and multiple ideas at the same time because that's the only way to have any sort of consistency. And sometimes you're like, okay, I'm just going to make this video. And sometimes you're like, this is the video I'm going to make and I'll commit to it. And that's just that, even if the idea isn't so well thought out. Like I try to make a video title first. Like what is the title of the video? And then if you've got like an easy title or something like that, then the rest falls into place really easily. But sometimes the title doesn't come to you quickly and you can't figure out the angle. But you still got to make a video because what does it matter if I make the worst video ever? You know,
right.
It's the certain point you have to make a video. That's the day job.
90% of the shots you don't take. Yeah. So Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
And but maybe just dogs are boring. I don't know. Maybe people don't like him because dogs are boring.
There is that too.
I'm just winding you up.
No, you're good. My lecture did well on dogs, which is good. But like the other stuff I've posted, I guess hasn't really been about dogs. Maybe that's why it's not doing well. So there's that too. But I don't know. I just get, especially with Instagram and TikTok, I know the way to success is like kind of like Lindsay Nichols. It's the same framing. You see her with the beanie talking and like her head comes in. Like, you know, it's a Lindsay video and what to expect. I get bummed out pigeonholing myself into one like format. I like playing around with just whatever I find funny or interesting. So I need to do that with YouTube. And I think that's been your advice too. It's just like you were having me, what was it? To just read a paper and talk about it and then, or explain it to people, which I started writing, by the way. I have one in the works.
Yeah.
I'm also going to do a podcast with Jedi Charles Darwin. So that'll be fun.
Charles Darwin. I don't know them. Are they on TikTok?
No, it's me. Like I'll be dressed up as Darwin, but just talking about his life. Cause I have a giant paper I wrote on Darwin. I forgot in grad school. That's his whole biography. So I can just have him you can talk about it. Anyway.
What's the title though?
It'll be like a podcast episode like this one.
Yeah.
But I guess I could title it like episode 10. I interviewed Charles Darwin somehow. So I don't know.
Yeah, I do think. Oh, my camera's about to die. Once I don't have a. Do I have a charge another battery?
You're fine. I can just keep your main camera on. It's all good.
Yeah,
Or
it's
after this
about to
point.
die. 1 second. Sorry. End of
Yep.
nice footage.
Or reset it.
I mean, the podcasting is different to YouTube videos, but at least
Yeah.
on YouTube, you do kind of have to think of the concept a little bit. Like, I don't know, an interesting idea for a video about Charles Darwin would be, what did he get wrong? That
Yeah. A lot.
just just immediately, you've got to imagine the person scrolling down the page, what's going to get their attention. And it's okay not to be in crazy clickbaity, but yeah, having like a clear idea of what the video is about is helpful for sure. Sometimes I
thinking,
fail
like,
on that, but
yeah. How do you feel
like
when
with that
happens?
dog video, I feel like I failed on it a little bit. That's the
That's
last
good.
time I think I failed with like a clear concept for a video.
I'm glad to know you have your times where you're like, all right, I'll pull one of the ruins, guys.
Yeah,
When we have to pull Stefan.
yeah,
That's good though. I see what you mean, because it wasn't your usual formatted video. It was like quick. The turnaround was insane. I was like, whoa, you got that done already.
yeah.
Yeah, but you still got one out and had a sponsor.
But still,
Just
interesting concept for a video in a way. Like, the thing is that you have to keep in mind as well, or at least I try to keep in mind, is that a lot of people don't have all day to look into these things like we do.
right.
And they're just happy to learn something about archaeology. So even if it isn't, my idea, like the best idea ever, the best video ever, there's a certain amount of people, and that amount is quite a large amount of people, who just want to learn something about archaeology that day.
Yeah.
And
I usually watch your videos when I'm like eating breakfast or something. Like I just prop my phone up and watch it while I'm like eat oatmeal or whatever. Put it on the. Now I just cast it to the TV usually, but I imagine a lot of people just listen to it. Maybe I don't know.
probably, probably. Yeah. I'm trying to get better at incorporating visuals to make the video something you have to watch, rather than just have on in the background. Not that there's anything wrong with that, like there are a lot of YouTube channels that operate really as just podcasts with visuals.
Yeah.
And that's great. They're probably more popular than me because they have that long playtime because people put them on in the evening when they're going to sleep or something like that. But
Rick
I don't know. I
Glassman's
just
good at
feel
that.
like a way to differentiate my channel from other channels. A, I'm appearing on camera, and B, trying to appear on camera, have interviews with the actual experts, and really think about the visuals.
Yeah. You're right. A big thing you do is the interviews with people, which is kind of like a Vox or Vice News kind of style, which I like. I think we talked about that. You wanted to be like the Vox of archaeology, which you're on your way to being. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. I love that. I love that style of video where the interview is weaved into the narration
With some music and
I there's just something about that helps the information go in my brain. That's what I like to watch and listen to. So that's what I try and produce. To be honest, again, this is no hate to any other YouTube channels how they produce their stuff, but I just don't find myself where it's like a long video and there's no person on the screen. I find myself not really watching those kinds of videos at the minute.
Yeah,
I
could name a few.
Yeah, I find myself not drawn to that style of video. For a start, I don't watch any other archaeology or history YouTube videos full stop because I'm scared of copying them. So I don't, North02, for example, is a very big archaeology YouTuber.
He's chill. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Makes very good videos. But
churns them out, too.
Churns them out, yeah. I don't know how he does it. But I just find myself, because I'm thinking about my videos all day about archaeology, I can't bring myself to watch an archaeology video at the end of the day. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's hard. Like I'll watch yours because I know they're like good, and I also learn from them. I watch like Atun Shea. That's kind of just disappeared off my feed. Histocrats kind of disappeared off my feed. Northo 2 I'll watch sometimes, like while I'm eating or going like to sleep, but then I like never finish it. No offense, dude. But uh, yeah, it is hard. And then also, it's like I kind of get that feeling of like, oh, I could have done that, or like
I
that's
know.
really good. And then you're like, oh, damn, they're so good at this.
There's nothing
uh,
worse than having an idea for a video, not making it, and then seeing another channel do it, and it totally pop off and blow up. And
yes,
I hate that. I know.
yeah,
Like, well, just whilst we're on the topic of Northo 2, he made one on the Sentinel Island people, just as I'm thinking of doing the same thing, and it totally blew up. And I was like, oh, why didn't I make that more of a priority? Um, but our videos are so different, to be honest. I don't really mind. Like, I'll still make a video even if he's done it because our style of
yeah.
presentation is so different. I don't think it matters. But
And if people watch his, yours will pop up afterwards because it's a newer one related to it, and people might still watch it. But
maybe. But
yeah,
there's just it's not that we're competition. I don't view us as competition, but it's just annoying when you have an idea and you're
right,
starting to put it into process and someone does it first and it totally blows up. It's like, so frustrating. Yeah.
yeah.
I try not to think like that because comparison is the thief of joy, but you can't help but compare yourself to others a little bit.
I think that's kind of my problem. I like watching it, like, well, she's got 2 million, so like I'll just give up. But yeah, I'm not that way. History with Kaylee blew up too. That wasn't who I was referring to, but I saw she's got like a couple 100,000
Yeah.
subs.
Yeah, she's doing great. I also,
Yeah,
don't watch her videos because, again, you can just kind of
I
get
don't
the
think I've watched one
feeling
either.
like, I won't make this video now because someone else already covered it. Even if you're
Hmm.
enthusiastic about the idea, that it's so easy to lose motivation.
Yeah,
So easily done. So I don't mean any hate towards any other archaeology channels. I just don't watch them for my own mental health.
makes sense, dude. Yeah, and like also it's kind of a CYA too. If you haven't watched the video and maybe you cover the same topic or make the same joke, it's like you literally didn't steal it because you didn't see it.
Yeah.
So or copy
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And it's
What
so
is?
hard when
Oh,
you see like a good idea that someone else has done. It's so hard not to copy. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, it's actually really difficult.
One popped up the other day on my Instagram. People sent it to me. It was a guy. I had a plan to do like a TikTok streamer, but he's a caveman, and he's like, "Grog, thanks for the sub, dude. Appreciate the roses. How was the migration?" And this dude like popped up and did one, and it was outstanding. And he did jokes that I didn't even think about. And it turns out his whole page is like that kind of humor.
I
Uh,
think I saw the same TikTok. What was
and he
it?
was like, "I got this. It's tiger, made from tiger." He was like, uh, and he was like, people think I'm Homo sapien, but something like that, which is a joke I used years ago, but it's an easy joke. I forget his name. I followed him, but it was an outstanding video, and I sat there and I think literally out loud said props because it was so good. Uh,
Yeah. I think the same guy popped up on my TikTok as well. And it was some skit, you know, just putting a caveman in like a modern TikTok situation or something.
yeah,
And I was like, you son of a bitch. That's brilliant. Wish I'd
yeah,
thought of it.
it was
Wish
so
I'd
good.
thought of it.
I
Yeah.
That happens a lot, especially with the amount I scroll. I try not to scroll. What I'm trying to say is like on TikTok too. I haven't used TikTok as much this year, but like if an archaeology person comes up that I know, I'll sit on it for a second because I want to give them the view, and then I'll just skip because
Yeah.
like I either know what they're gonna say or I just am bored. Um, but I guess it's kind of how it goes with YouTube too. But what I wanted to ask you was my Instagram community is like one of my favorite things I've built. My network on there is crazy. I've known people kind of like you for years now that I've never met. Um, some of them never talked face to face with, like you and I are right now. What is the YouTube community like? Because I know you probably have regulars and stuff that comment, and people seem to know a weird amount about your life. I've noticed in my comments. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's very what I like is bumping into people in real life. That's kind of crazy. When someone
Oh yeah,
says hello in real life because they watch the videos, that is crazy. The comments, it gets there are regulars, but it's hard to. I find myself not reading the comments after the first couple of days after a video. To be honest, again, that's just to preserve my mental health.
right.
I don't think people are supposed to see what 5,000 people thought of your
No,
project. Do you know what I
absolutely
mean?
not.
It's
Brain is not
crippling.
ready for it.
It's
Yeah.
not ready for it. So again, this makes I hope it doesn't make me sound like a terrible person, but I have to really moderate how many comments I see. And for example, I only look at comments in a specific way. I'll go to, like, instead of seeing on the YouTube studio the comments just
Yep.
as they're coming in, I'll actually go to the video and just read like the top comments,
Mm-hmm.
because the comments that are just coming in all the time, it could be anything. You know, someone could be commenting on a video I made 4 years ago and be like, "Oh, that was rubbish," and it's just like, it just appears you're just going about your day, and
Outdated.
then all of a sudden this random thing like, "That was rubbish," just like pops into your head, or like, what a waste of time. So yeah, you just have to. At least for me, I have to be so careful with all of that. But I love everyone who comments. You know, I love seeing all the like, "Babe, wake up! New Stefan video just dropped."
Yeah,
Like, I love seeing those comments
that's fun.
and stuff like that.
I think I saw one like that on the one we did the other day. It was like David and Stefan, or a David and Stefan video dropped same day. Hell yeah, or something like that. I
Yeah,
was like, that's cool.
yeah,
Um,
it's cool to see stuff like that. It's very flattering. But
you've been dabbling in the shorts recently too. I saw that did pretty well.
yeah, they've done okay. They've done
Yeah,
okay. The Yeah, it's
they're
just
hard. Yeah,
it's hard to make them.
yeah.
It's hard to make them for sure. It's just hard for me to not focus on the main video. That's the thing. I need to like
Mm,
pick a day where I just make shorts, and just like, even just make one short for that week.
yeah.
I need to try and do at least one a week. Because I find myself watching a lot of shorts. I find myself watching a lot of TikToks. So that's just where you got to meet the audience where they're at a little bit. I know the
Mm-hmm.
regular viewers hate them, or at least a lot of people hate them.
But I mean, they're going to your YouTube for the YouTube, like on the shorts. Like it's just extra content.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Now that
yeah,
YouTube has like totally separated shorts from the rest of the videos,
yeah.
I don't. It doesn't seem to me to be a problem. I think probably some people have their notifications set up where they want to see a video that I drop, and maybe they're disappointed if it's a short.
Mm.
But yeah, it's been fun making them. I've got I'm on Wikipedia at the minute because I've been wanting to make a short about this for a long time. But do you know the pyramid text? Do you know what the pyramid texts are?
Mm-mm.
They're just these like prayers, I suppose, that ancient Egyptians put on the inside of some pyramids.
Okay.
And they're obviously, you know, very beautiful piece of literature and artwork and all of this stuff. But one thing I absolutely love about them, like, you might imagine when you walk into the pyramid and see these texts, that because you're starting by the door, you're starting at the beginning of the text. But it's actually the end of the text, because they were thinking when they wrote them that the pharaoh was going to leave his body and read them as he's leaving the tomb.
Okay.
So at the point you enter, that's the end. Those are the last prayers, and the first prayers are surrounding the tomb, because it was their intended audience was a ghost leaving the tomb. And that's
Yeah.
just so crazy. I just love, like, there's something about that fact that I just love, man. I just
And you
love
want to
that.
share with people.
Yeah, I want to share it with people, and it doesn't warrant a 30-minute video, because
Right.
I don't know anything about ancient Egypt, really.
Yeah.
But it's just so interesting to me to view it from the perspective of the person that wrote them. Sometimes you can view these things just from your perspective, or it's very hard not to view artifacts from your perspective and
Yeah.
history from your perspective. It's very hard not to do that. So when you're confronted with something like that, like, oh, I'm really not the intended audience for this, I just love it. I just love it. I just
Hmm.
love getting that fresh perspective. I
Yeah.
need to freaking make that short, that TikTok, because as you can see, I'm enthusiastic about it. But
Yeah. We'll do it. We'll share it.
yeah,
Uh, I remember a video of yours that sticks out to me too was you did like three, like the perspective of three historical figures. It was a Phoenician guy, and it was like a merchant, I think. Maybe it was its own video.
yeah, that was an old
Um,
video. Yeah,
I loved that one because I really like the day to day of people in history because it's not like what we think about a lot.
yeah, that
Um,
was one. Yeah, that was an interesting one to make and to do. In the end, not so popular, but that's at that time when I was making the videos, I wasn't thinking as hard about how to frame things.
yeah.
But it is interesting to me that we have the civilization Carthage with basically no texts surviving. And yet the oldest Roman play, complete play that survives to this day, is basically from the perspective of Carthaginians.
Hmm.
And so that was just, again, another opportunity to... I just burped there. Don't cut it out. Keep it in. Keep it in.
Fine.
Fresh perspective.
There
But
you
it's
go.
just interesting,
Day to
to
day.
see that fresh perspective of Carthage when we know so little of them. So few of their texts have survived.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going to get more Carthaginian texts, though, because they're recovering those scrolls from Pompeii.
I just saw they found a text about Jesus the other day or something. I don't know if it was a new
Maybe.
discovery or they just translated it or something.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that stuff's really cool.
Yeah, I need to
Um,
try and get an interview with those guys who are doing that.
yeah,
Sometimes when
do
it's
it.
a major project like that, National Geographic is already working on it and they're not allowed to make YouTube videos.
Like the guest or the researcher.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes I've reached out to people who are doing some stuff before in the past, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, we're already doing a thing with National Geographic about that, and we can't talk about it
makes sense.
until that comes out."
Yeah,
So just imagine for like a very high profile project like those Pompeii scrolls,
yeah.
people are already filming them all the time. But maybe not. Maybe not. I should ask. You never
One
know if you
thing,
don't ask.
right? Exactly. And that was going to lead to my next question. When I was a student, I always looked at like PhDs and like professors and other researchers as like untouchables, like they're too busy or famous for shit. Um, but then like kind of you're saying people recognize you. When I've gone to conferences, people are like, "Oh, you're the video guy, you're the podcast guy," and I'm like, "Yep." It's kind of weird and surreal. But another thing I've noticed too with that is when I email people about chatting with them or just picking their brain about something, the access is so easy. Like you just shoot them a DM.
Yeah.
So what is it like for you? Like, what's the response you usually get when you reach out to like researchers and stuff from other schools?
Yeah, most people are great. I will say I've never successfully got an email back from anyone who works at Oxford or Cambridge or like an elite institution. Elite.
Maybe
I'm
they're
going to
under
put inverted
NDA too.
commas around that.
Okay.
But I've never had as much success with those guys. Um, but by and large, people are more than happy to work with me, and I have interviews. You know, I know we've been talking about me making videos quicker than you, but I'm not making them enough. I have interviews that I'm still sat on
Yeah.
because I just can't turn them into a video quick enough because people are so willing to talk to me. And
Yeah.
now that I have some tiny modicum of success and fame, people reach out to me before I've even reached out to them. Be like, "Hey, my research is coming out. Do you want to talk about it?" So
Cool.
that's very cool, very flattering. But yeah, I need to have like a cave where I just sit down and write and don't let myself out. But it's just so hard with two young kids. It's so tricky. Writing is
Well,
another thing that is so easily interrupted. It's
right.
so hard.
It's very difficult, especially when I was in school. And then now it's even somehow harder because you're like, no one's breathing down your neck to do it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
what do you tell your kids that you do? Like, what does daddy do for work?
My daughter thinks I'm an archaeologist. I don't consider myself an archaeologist at all, but it's just easier for her to think that. My son isn't 2 yet, so I think he just has no concept of anything that I
Oh,
do.
right. Yeah, he's younger.
But my daughter, yeah, thinks I'm an archaeologist, and she
Yeah,
says she wants to be an archaeologist too,
that's got to
or a
be a good feeling.
paleontologist. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, who
Yeah.
knows what they'll. At the minute, she's young and loves mum and dad. When she's 13 or something, she'll probably think it's whack. I don't know.
Right.
Like yeah, I don't know how.
Her rebellious teenage years are just her reading Hancock.
Yeah, or yeah, exactly. Or yeah, she'll be like one of those people who's been like, Egyptians couldn't work granite, even though they definitely could, guys. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting how my kids think about having a dad who has so many videos online. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I didn't know anything about my friends' dads, really.
Right.
I just knew their name, maybe vaguely an idea of what they do for a job, but I didn't really know anything about them.
Because we're at the age and era where kids can literally say, "My dad is a YouTuber." Like that wasn't a thing 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of
And
funny.
some like it's at the minute it's a very popular thing to do. But maybe when they're at school or something, they don't want to talk about it because they don't want people looking at what their dad does or something, you know.
Yeah.
At least I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm just a nerd talking about archaeology, so that's one thing.
Mm.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting to think about. At
Well, I would
least,
tell
like
you.
my name, Stefan Milo, it's not actually my name. So I suppose if she doesn't want it to
Mm.
talk about, I mean, my name is Stefan, but Milo is just an abbreviation of Milo Savlovich. So no one seeing my children's names would necessarily think like, oh, this is Stefan's kid.
Yeah.
I mean, kids aren't watching my videos anyway. It seems so arrogant to talk about this. The kids don't give
No.
a shit about my videos.
It's okay. When they probably might watch them in school when they're a little older. Not your kids, but kids right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're like, if you type in archaeological topics, you pop up.
Yeah, that would be, yeah, gosh. That would be so cringe if you're sat in school and the teacher's like, okay, we're going to watch a video, and they put on YouTube and it's your mom or dad. Can you imagine? I hope that never happens to them.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
What's I get well. One, I would consider you an archaeologist. I think you've earned that title. You do a great job. I know people that have their bachelors and go on to work in CRM companies and dig holes all day. They're archaeologists. So like,
But they're doing
you are.
archaeology, though. I'm not doing archaeology. I'm doing videos.
But 90% of archaeology is on JSTOR, not in the dirt. So you are also doing archaeology in that sense, just not digging a hole.
I suppose. I don't know.
Because
I
I'm still
hesitate to
one, and
call
I don't
myself an
really-
archaeologist because I don't want to put myself as the expert. Do you know what I mean?
That's also fair. Yeah. And then I don't have a PhD, so I don't feel like I can. It's just like a weird limbo. So yeah, I get what you mean. And then when people ask me what I do now, it's hard because I want to say archaeologist, but I also work for myself, and then I also do odd jobs for other people. I don't know. It's just a difficult. Everyone I've talked to on this podcast about what do you call yourself has also been like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah.
I would feel more
Weird thing.
comfortable. I think I'm gonna try and volunteer on excavations at least once a year.
There you
And then
go.
I'll feel more happy about that. Like I need to get my trowel back in the ground.
There you go. You're always welcome out here.
Yeah, I know. Well, I feel bad. I feel like Uh, yeah, I need to take advantage of you guys. I need to follow you around on a dig more.
Yeah, man. They let me on, so they'll definitely let you on. We'll be right back, and we're back. Uh, let's see. Where was I going with that? Archaeology. Yeah. So, as a YouTuber who's like, or YouTube archaeologist, whatever you would say here, someone who makes videos online and very good in-depth videos and quality stuff. What's your most requested video, either from YouTube comments or other researchers,
Um, I don't know.
or a
I don't
topic
know.
in general?
I don't know. I don't know. I think at the minute, and this is a video I'm determined to make this year. This video will be out this year. I just need to find someone to chat to about it. And I do have a candidate. I just haven't emailed them yet. But what is going on with all these Chinese fossils, man? There are so many. There are a lot of crazy fossils coming out of China at the minute.
I can give you a hint as to what's happening, but
What do you reckon?
uh, I'm not worried about getting demonetized because I got nothing going on anyway. I think the CCP, kind of like in that nationalistic archaeology sense, like back in the 40s and 30s, like want to say like they have the oldest stuff or like look how our archaeology is, and they're pretty secretive about like their research from what I've understood, but people want to go there and work. So not that
Mm,
they're fibbing what they have, it's just like a very interesting system.
I mean,
um,
maybe. I don't know anything about that angle of it. I don't
do you
think.
mean genuinely like the fossils coming out, what's up with them?
Yeah. They. I
Oh,
don't. I
okay.
don't think. I don't know how Chinese academia publishes its work. Um, I. I don't know. I don't know. This is my gut instinct. I suspect all that stuff about um, China wanting to be like the birthplace of humanity and blah blah blah. I
Mm,
think the people who are studying these fossils know that's not the case because the genetic
okay.
evidence is overwhelming. So I don't think that's affecting them at all. All I'm interested in is this huge diversity of skulls that's coming out of there. Like the absolutely massive dragon man cranium. Um, there's another one that just came out. Um, there's just been these really interesting fossils coming out, and are these Denisovans? Are these
Mm.
Homo erectus? Because Homo erectus has been in China for like probably 2 million years. So is this just the local
Yeah, they're
Homo
like more of
erectus
an
population
Asian.
evolving? Is this both? Are we falsely lumping these crania together when maybe they're very distinct groups? I don't know. There's just a lot. There's just a lot coming out of China at the minute. They're investing so much into archaeology research. Um, they the money they're investing in it is fantastic, to be honest.
Yeah.
So much of these genetic studies are coming out in China because they've just invested the money in large labs. They can just do so much more testing than we can.
Yeah.
So
Dog research too. A lot of Chinese stuff coming out too.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Okay,
So
that is interesting. I'll keep an eye on that.
yeah, that's. I think people want to know about that a lot, and I want to. Yeah, I want to try and create a good relationship with these Chinese universities and these Chinese academics. They're doing really cool work. They're finding cool stuff, doing cool research, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it with them.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I think
You
about
got
that a
enough
lot.
views and stuff that I'm sure they'd probably find you qualified to talk about. And
I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
you can't watch YouTube in China, as far as I'm aware.
no, you cannot.
So
No Facebook. No, yeah.
so maybe almost certainly they have no idea who I am. But
Our professor translated his book like into a. He had a German translator and a Chinese translator, and like his book's doing okay in China too. So maybe you could have somebody translate a few of your favorite videos and like pitch it to them. I don't know.
Yeah, or I need to or just get an email translated. I mean, these people can speak English because they're publishing this academic work in English. So
Right.
that's not
Oh,
the language
that's
isn't
true, too.
necessarily a barrier. But maybe they would feel more comfortable if they were interviewed in Chinese and we just used a translator. That's fine with me. Either way,
Yeah.
I haven't reached out to any of them, so this is all just speculation. But in terms of videos I want to make, in terms of videos I've been asked to make, that would be great. That would be great. And there are sometimes on YouTube, you'll see interviews with, professors. I'm not the only person that gets people to do interviews, but I haven't seen any interview with any of these Chinese academics who are working on all these things. So that
Not
would
that
be
I have
really
either.
novel and really cool.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
I've just got to make it happen. At the end of the day, I've just got to sit down. Like, it's useless me talking about this when I haven't sat down and written these emails. That's the thing. I just got to sit down and do it.
Well, I look forward to that happening because that would be pretty cool. I don't know anybody that works with Chinese archaeologists except for
Yeah.
my professor. His
I'm
wife's a
making it this
culture
year.
lab.
Come hell or high water, I'm making it.
Okay.
That's a promise to you, David, viewer.
Okay. And I promise I'll get something Mammothy out at some point this year. We'll see.
There's no excuse. You're off my Christmas card list if you don't make that Mammoth video this year. There's literally no excuse.
Fair enough. What is a video you're most proud of? And you can also list multiple if that's the case. My favorite's the 42069 one you did. It was a piece of art.
I don't even remember that.
You hit, that's not actually my favorite, but you hit 40,069 followers, I think.
Yeah.
And you made this little video of you like dancing in Portland and you were like 42069. It was so goofy.
Wowzers. Big time. Big bits. Big business. Shout out to all 69,420 of you. Golly gosh.
How do you do, fellow kids?
69. 420. Big butts. Nice. Blaze up. A bing bang boo. I'm looking at you. A bing bang boo. I'm looking at you.
Oh, it's on Instagram. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why. Just a throwaway video. I do remember that now vaguely. I don't know. I would say... What videos am I proud of? I'd say one video I really love is the video I made on the Lamekwi stone tools, maybe the oldest archaeological site in the world.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's a really cool one. I was able to chat to two of the scientists working at the site, and they were able to share like some really nice footage with me, photos of the artifacts. It should be the oldest archaeological site in the world. I need to change the thumbnail on it.
There we go. I just found it. Yeah, I didn't recognize it as yours. Well, I guess it's no Ettore art, but that's okay.
There is a Tory art in the video.
428,000 subscribers now, dude. Hell yeah.
428. I know.
That's
I'm
half a mil.
really almost hitting another 42069 moment. I've got to get ready. I've got to prepare. Oh no, I've already gone past it, haven't I?
You've surpassed it. Yeah. It's all right.
Damn. Never mind.
But you're proud of that video?
Yeah, I think it's
Starts
what I
with
like
the
about it
English
is the
Bible.
title, the oldest archaeological site in the world. It's not clickbait. This is the oldest archaeological site in the world. And I think I was able to really, with the help of the scientists, of course, explain why they think it's an archaeological site. Because when you go back in time 3 million years plus, it gets very debatable. Like, are we really looking at archaeology here? And I think I was able to make their case well and understand what it is someone's looking for in an archaeological site that's that old. Like, how do you separate primitive stone tools from just rocks, rocks that randomly broke? So I
you get into like lithic analysis and all that.
Yeah, I just really like it. I think it's a video that could only appear on my channel is what I like about it, in a way. Like, I think it's, the expert interviews, the cool footage. It's just
the Vox of rocks, dude. There you go.
The Vox of rocks.
Cool. Any others?
Let me see. Population Y. Why do Amazonian people have Australasian DNA? I need to change the title on that one. That, again, is another one where I feel like I've got the best video on the topic. I don't know. And it's not because of me. It's just because I was able to get those expert opinions.
Right.
But I feel very happy that that I was able to get that interview. Shout out to Tabitha Hunemeyer, Marcus Arujo, Castro e Silva, long Brazilian names. Yeah. I'm happy where I can get this complex topic, get the expert on camera talking about it, and making it as accessible as possible. That's what makes me proud of my videos.
Yeah.
And then, 42069 as well, of course. That must have been when I had 42,069 subscribers.
Must have been.
That must have been several years ago now.
I was still in Georgia, so it was pre-2021. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you're good at that. And yeah, dude, like you... Right, yeah, you do have, like, especially the way you title the videos, like, you... Definitely, if you want to research a topic, especially about paleo. So you had the one that's like humanity 1 million years ago. Like that one with the thumbnail on it there too is definitely, it's clickbait and it's interesting at the same time because it's like, oh, that does look cool because it's like a hominid on it.
Yeah, and it's true. It's not clickbait. We are, I really discussed that. Who were the first people in recorded history? That was another cool one. I do feel like I successfully answered that question. We had 3 interviews in that one. And that was a hard one to make. Because
it was hard.
Yeah, because I'm not a historian. I'm working on more who were the first people in recorded history. I'm working on more videos like that. Now I'm breaking it down by geographical region. Who were the first Europeans in recorded history? Who were the first Native Americans in recorded history? So on and so on.
Yeah. Those will do good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll be out this year. What's hard with making those videos is that I know the most about human evolution. And so when I have to switch topics, I feel like I have to read up on a lot of stuff before I even send an email to anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, it
just to ballpark know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just so for at the minute, I'm reading a book on the Mycenaeans, just to get up to speed with them before I even email an expert on the Mycenaeans to be like, hey, what are the oldest personal names? And what can we say about these people?
Yeah.
But yeah, when you scroll down through my YouTube video channel, it's not like I've made that many videos. I don't know. It's
look it up. The picture. How do the Neanderthal genes affect your health? That was my favorite. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I totally forgot. I did that other video with you. That's on here.
Yeah, that
For
was a long
dog
time ago.
domestication theories. Theories. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess it's not too many. Neat. What is the most rewarding experience you've had with doing this? Did I already ask that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
The most rewarding is when I just, it sounds crazy, but when I just buy something. Like, it's literally crazy that my job, like, I make these silly videos about archaeology and I'm able to go and buy this thing, whatever it is. Like, it's absolutely insane that this is my job and pays the bills.
Oh, I see. Like with you're putting this, the money you get from what you're doing, you can buy things in real life.
Yeah. Well, what was your question again?
What's the most rewarding experience you've had with this? I was kind of thinking like,
Oh, well, that made me sound so mercenary. When I buy stuff, man, when I flex on the haters.
Yeah, it's not the answer I was like expecting.
When I hop in my Ferrari and I flex on the haters.
You sit with at least $3,000 worth of skulls behind you.
Yeah.
No, but I do get that. When I get my check from Instagram and Meta, I'm like, all right. Yeah, so like with students or your kids or
yeah, it's got to be any time I'm doing anything with students. I really want to do more charity work. I do try and donate quite a bit of money to charity.
Okay. Very Dave Ramsey of you.
Yeah, is he a big charity guy? I don't know anything about him other than he's like Mr. Pay Off Your Mortgage.
Yeah, his whole thing is like keep a bit for charity or tithes or whatever.
Yeah.
After he says rice and beans.
Yeah. It is being able to donate money to things like Amazon Watch, American Indian College Fund, when I've made topics about Native Americans.
Good, dude.
I don't want anyone to feel bad about, working with me. I don't want anyone to worry about me saying anything crazy or me like sort of betraying their trust in a way. They put the trust in me to do this interview and present their work well.
You're not going to reality TV cut them. Yeah.
I'm not going to reality TV cut them. I'm not going to hurt their reputation in the eyes of their community. I'm happy to give back and stuff like that. What I really want to do, this is an ambition for the future, but
that was my next question. Cool.
I want to send school kids on like fun historical trips. I want to somehow like leverage this platform to pay for a bunch of kids to go do something fun. I'm not even going to go with them, of course. They're not my kids, but I just want to like inspire the next generation. Because going on school trips was probably a huge factor in me loving history and loving archaeology, was going and seeing these places in real life. And there was one place I really loved visiting when I was a kid. It was called Caerleon. It's in Wales.
Okay.
And it's a really well-preserved Roman amphitheater. And we all went when I was a kid, and they had like hired reenactors to be there in Roman gear and stuff. And I can still put myself in the position of like 8-year-old Stefan sat cross-legged on the floor watching these Roman reenactors. And it would be great to, be in a position where I could help kids do that kind of thing too. So that's an ambition for mine. I want to start live streaming maybe to try and drum up some money. I want to send like 100 kids, like all the kids from the area. I want to send them to a Roman gladiator fight. That's what I want to do. Like my old primary school and like all the kids from my town, just send like 100 of them to do something like that. That would be the best.
I respect the shit out of that, dude. That's cool. I didn't know you were doing that.
Well, I haven't done it yet, so don't give me a pat on the back for it yet.
I knew you got a fish tank at one point, but I think you said it was like with your Patreon
With
or
what?
something. You bought a fish tank at one point. You were telling me about,
A fish tank?
maybe, or an aquarium or something. Maybe it was someone else.
I didn't buy anyone an aquarium.
I remember some YouTuber that I knew, it was like they bought a fish tank in their house and they were like, "Thank you, Patreon." And I was like, "Oh shit, I wish my Patreon was that big."
No,
Maybe it
no.
wasn't you.
I've
Okay,
spent all my
okay.
Patreon money on making the videos.
Okay.
Sure, let me put that out there after I
That was
just said
Histocrat.
when I like to flex on the haters. What are you most proud of? Spending money, dude.
That was so funny, dude. Great answer. Yeah,
Uh,
what was I gonna say? What I've noticed too, especially when I was working at that vet program, it's like a lot of, and we want to do this like DEI initiatives and stuff like that. A lot of inner city people can't afford a field school or go to college or something like that. If we want them to get into archaeology and stuff like that, especially in the South where it's like their ancestry is and things, like to donate money to that and get them on field trips, or especially kids on the reservation. Like I would love more Indigenous Americans in archaeology, but it's just expensive to go to college and like go to field schools and stuff. So
it is, yeah, it is.
charities like that are important. So I'm glad just to like send, even if it wasn't like a Roman amphitheater, just to send kids on trips. Cause that's what got me into it. I lived in New York and we would take a trip to the Natural History Museum all the time and got to see dinosaurs, and I was always into old shit.
Yeah. I just need to do it really. There's like for example, in the last video, I offer everyone a fee of like $300 to be interviewed on my channel. I don't expect anyone to help me for free. Sometimes people accept it, sometimes people don't. But the last team I interviewed, there's 3 scientists from the University of Aarhus in Denmark. And they all decided to donate their speaker fee to UNICEF. So $900, and then I just rounded up with like $1,100 from the sponsorship. So just in the last video, we donated $2,000 to charity, and that's great. I'm happy to do it. I love to do it.
It's gotta feel good, dude.
Yeah. Well, you got to do something, man. When I'm cruising around in this Ferrari, I gotta give back somehow.
Throwing money out
Just
the back.
ducking money out. Yeah.
What is
That's
your...
a joke, by the way. I don't have a Ferrari. People take things out of context on the internet, man. I drive a 2014 Toyota RAV4.
Sitting with the spear and the skulls like out of Ferrari. It does, pay for your hobby of buying. I know you have a Roman helmet too. You got the skull. That was from Skulls Unlimited, though, I think, right?
Bone clones.
Bone clones. That's right.
Every one of these bone clones. This is from ancientcraft.co.uk. I mean, when you make archaeology videos, these are tax deductions. These are investments, business purchases.
Oh, that's true.
These all appear in videos. So,
oh yeah, we didn't even get into that. I talked to Lindsay about that, but the LLCs and dealing with the business, and that's a whole other thing.
I don't even know if I'm doing that correctly, so I don't have anything to add on that front.
I might be in jail by the time this comes out.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's going on? What is your biggest, the mystery that you would love solved, or your favorite thing that you would love more answers to about history?
I don't know. There are 2 things I'd say that I want to make videos on in the minute. There are 2 big unanswered questions. The first one is, if you Google hominins or human evolution or blah, blah, blah in Africa, it's going to show a lot of sites in South and East Africa, and only some in West Africa. There's sort of a big gap there in West Africa. We find tools, but we don't really know who was making them because the conditions are a lot more humid, a lot wetter. There's the Congo rainforest river basin. Yeah. And it's just very bad at preserving bones compared to East Africa. And that, combined with the fact it's a very unstable part of the world, they just don't have time to be doing research. And Congo is in the middle of a civil war at the minute, so they're just not going out and doing many excavations. So I hope that their war ends, mainly because that must be terrible for them, but also
Gotta be.
so that we can understand more about that area of human evolution. Like, it's a huge area of Africa we don't know a lot about, and it was undoubtedly a key region in our evolution.
That's a good point.
And the other one, I would say, another one, there's a big discrepancy at the minute between the genetic evidence we have for our mating with Neanderthals and the dates archaeologically for out of Africa. Archaeologically, the dates getting older and older, and archaeologists are more comfortable pushing back out of Africa, by tens of thousands of years. But it just doesn't line up with what we know about the genetic evidence. So somewhere along the line, those 2 points have to be reconciled. And they can be reconciled a number of ways. For example, the earliest archaeological sites were maybe not left by our ancestors. Maybe these were migrations out of Africa that didn't have surviving descendants. That's one way you could explain it. The other way it could be explained is maybe some of these archaeological sites are not made by Homo sapiens. Maybe they're made by something like Denisovans. But that's controversial because some of these sites are in Australia, and they have a complicated situation a little bit over there because, British people in the 19th century considered Aboriginals like less than human. And so it's just a sensitive topic when you talk about other human species in that area.
Yeah.
Because of the legacy of
undoubtedly
of the British being massive pricks.
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, and it's always Tuesday, isn't it? But so that's complicated, but nevertheless, that is a possible way to reconcile that data that like Denisovans were in Australia. There's just those two areas of information are not aligned at the minute. There's some part of the puzzle we're missing. So that's always interesting when there's something like that going on. Something we don't understand. There's very obviously something we don't understand at the minute.
Very good answers. I really didn't think about West Africa being it, especially, minus the war-torn aspect, just how jungled it is and like what's over top, or that being all over top fossils and things. And
it's really,
it's probably a lot.
If you think humans had made it to China 2 million years ago, they were certainly in West Africa. Yeah. There's no way they weren't in West Africa, but we don't know who, or we don't have a clear idea of human evolution in that region at all.
Yeah.
And so we have this huge bias towards East Africa in archaeology. And that's going to be a difficult bias to overcome because of
the leakies,
war, and just war, man. It's just war because of war and the Congo River, no doubt, absolutely burying these things under huge amounts of sediment. I don't know if we can ever very well fill that void, but it would be an interesting one to fill for sure.
Absolutely. And last question for you, unless you have others, would be, what does it mean to be human?
I don't know. I don't know, honestly.
Only been building to that for 2 hours. But
yeah.
That's good.
What does it mean to be a human? I don't know. One thing I think about, this is not what it means to be human, but what it means to be alive.
Okay.
This is going to make you want to have a baby, man. I'm warning you.
Yeah.
But think about this. Like, all life descends from this moment where a single cell was created, right? We're all descendants from the last universal common ancestor, Luca. And they lived probably like 3 billion years ago. think about all the crazy things that happened in that time, the climatic shifts, mass extinctions. Through every single one of them, our ancestors survived. Every single one. Like, life has not evolved twice. Life started once. And we have survived every mass extinction ever up until this point. And I don't know what it means to be human, but that's a crazy thing to think about. Nothing that space or the earth could throw at our ancestors prevented them from banging and having a kid.
We're resilient. Yeah, no, very true.
For 3 billion years. And that's, when you think about that, it's like, man, the odds of me being alive right now and so close to zero. It's incredible. Yeah. It's incredible. Dinosaurs, toast. Our ancestors, not toast. You know?
Well, they're oil. They're actually oil now.
Yeah. I use them to make toast. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
a good answer, dude.
Yeah. So
one of the more unique ones. If I find the right woman and it happens, sure. And I'll report back on our resilience as a species.
That's it. Yeah. For 3 billion years, no mass extinction could wipe out your ancestors, but your lack of riz is ending your timeline, David.
Used to be good. Now it's waning. I have El Riz, La Riz. I don't know.
El Riz, yeah. As the kids would say.
El Rizzo. There we go. What was I going to say? I just had a thought there. Nope. Anyway, dinosaurs are oil. What it means to be human is our resilience and our ability to keep going. So that's cool. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. That a fun fact that always is funny to me is that every one of your ancestors got laid somehow.
They sure
which
did.
is kind of, keeps me going.
W Riz.
I've never even hugged a girl, so I don't know what to do. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, it is an interest. Not that anyone has to have a kid. If you don't have a kid, don't have a kid. In the grand scheme of the universe, it's all irrelevant. But it is an interesting thought that when you think about how many things went wrong, nothing went so wrong that it prevented a single one of our ancestors from having kids. That's so interesting.
Probably Polynesians in the middle of the, triangle out there just doing it on a raft.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. In the grand scheme of
a good place to do it. The stars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's a cool thing to have happened.
The other people 3 feet from you on the other side of the pontoon might be like, all right, but maybe it was culturally cool for them. I don't know.
Well, for sure, our ancestors.
You doing, buddy?
When you go back in time, Bronze Age, you're just living in a one-room hut. You've got to get it done somehow.
Had to have been, yeah, for sure. Or it was just like an unspoken clear out. Mom and dad are going at it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, cool, dude. Where can people find you? And on the socials and things?
They can't. You can't, guys. I'm on track. You got to catch me at Safeway. Look out for the pink Ferrari at Safeway. Then you'll find Stefan Milo.
The license plate says BRNZ age. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was bad.
Erectus.
He's holding a spear.
I bet Erectus is available.
You are in Oregon, so maybe not, but I would go for it. I think it would be cool.
Yeah.
Erectus.
If there's one place
Homo.
where Homo is not available, it's probably Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, there you go. That's more like it.
That's the joke, yeah.
But you're Stefan Milo on YouTube.
Maybe cut that joke out.
Gotta flex on my haters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Stefan Milo YouTube. What's your Instagram?
History Smilo.
History Smilo. There's an underscore, I think.
No underscore.
No. Okay.
Should have picked a different name there. Should have probably just picked Stefan Milo. Stefan Milo.
Probably change it.
13.
I don't know if you can. Yeah. And then you have a TikTok, I think, too. Same thing.
Stefan Milo. Yeah. I think.
Stefan Milo.
Well, I can't.
I'll find you. Just Google him. And then
David's going to put all of this in the description, guys.
I will.
Which is now on the right-hand side, not down below, making every YouTube video that says down below in the description. Totally irrelevant.
Is it really? Let me look this up.
You haven't been on the website in the past couple of weeks?
Mine's still descriptions down below on my computer.
I'm in the beta testing. Now my recommended videos are below the video. Comments are on the right hand side. Comments and description are on the right hand side for me.
Interesting.
They're testing it out. I'm in
Okay.
the beta group, clearly.
Cool. Well, yeah, links will be on the side or on the bottom, depending on when you're watching this video.
Yeah.
And I think that's all where you're at. What's the name of your book?
Tales of Ancient Worlds.
Tales of Ancient Worlds. Cool. I'll put that down below or to the right. And just want to say, dude, I appreciate your friendship. You have been a solid mentor to me. I always forget you're a little older. The past few years, and I appreciate being able to spitball things with you. And
Yeah.
I appreciate that you trust my knowledge on things, and I can trust your knowledge on things. It's been you're my favorite internet friend I've made the past 5 years. So that's cool.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thank
or at
you,
least
man.
the most lucrative. Nah, but I
everyone's gonna just not subscribe to my Patreon anymore. Like, guys, I need the money. Like, I literally drive an old Toyota with only one like wing mirror on it.
the muffler's hanging off the bottom. Yeah. But yeah, no, dude, I appreciate you, and it's been fun. I'm glad Ettore linked us up.
Yeah, shout out to Ettore.
Yeah, dude,
And
the goat.
Yeah, and to Italians
Capra.
as well. Let's throw that in there.
Shout out Italy.
Shout out Italy. Pasta W Riz, as the kids would say.
W Riz. All right, man.
Really hit the W Riz with that one.
Shout out pasta. Yeah. Okay. I guess that's it. I'm happy to have you on again. Talk about more in-depth stuff. So
Cool, man. I got to start podcasting too. This is fun.
We'll put the link to his podcast on the right.
Yeah.
His podcast will come out when my Mammoth video comes out. Maybe before.
Definitely before.
All right. We'll end it there.